Alright guys, 8.2 part 2. This is part of the same section, so the rest of this week is going to be spent doing the exact same section. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to multiply these square roots together now. So the way we multiply these square roots together is whatever numbers are on the outside we multiply together, and any numbers that are on the inside we multiply together. Now in this case right here where they're both on the inside, we're going to multiply them together. We're going to get the square root of 28. Now, always, from now on, you're always going to look to factor. So the square root of 28 turns down to 14 and 2, which gives us 7 and 2. This is what we learned yesterday. Now, we look for pairs, so we have a pair of 2's. So our answer is going to be 2 square root of 7. So, anytime you're given the option to be able to multiply, you multiply what's on the outside with the outside and what's on the inside with the inside. So likewise, if I have the square root of 6 times the square root of 8, hold on. No. So this becomes the square root of 48, which in turn we can then factor just like before. So because they're both inside numbers, we multiply them together. We get 24 and 2, 12 and 2, 6 and 2, 3 and 2, which then again we look for pairs. We have one pair of 2's, another pair of 2's. Because we have two pairs, when we bring them both out, we're going to multiply them together, and that 3 stays over underneath. So that is how we begin the process of multiplying radicals together. Now, this can look a little bit different if we have these great big numbers like this. Now, I'm going to teach you how I do this. If I have these great big numbers like this, 4 square root of 18 times 7 times the square root of 72, before I multiply, I actually factor first. So I'm going to go ahead and factor first. So out of this one, we're going to have a pair of 3's. Now this is an interesting problem we haven't seen yet. What about if there's already a number out front? When we bring out this pair to this, we're going to multiply it to that number out there. So that's going to turn into 12 square root of 2. Now this 72, 36 and 2, 18 and 2, 9 and 2, 3 and 3. Sorry, I'm really small. We're going to have a pair of 3's, a pair of 2's, which is going to give us 6 with a 2 left over. Now look at how much easier this problem right here is to multiply than to try to multiply these two together. So now we're going to multiply these together to get 12. Remember, we multiply what's on the outside together and what's on the inside together. So 12 times 6 is 72. 2 times 2 is 4. We factor this down. Nothing left over underneath the root, so the root disappears. And our answer is just going to be 144, because 72 times 2 is 144. So this is the square root multiplication type of problem here. Now let's do another one of those harder ones, and then we'll get to the other stuff. So if I have 3 square root of 75 times the square root of 45. First thing we're going to do, factor. 25 and 3, 5 and 5. 9 and 5, 3 and 3. Out of this one I can get a pair of 5's. Out of this one I can get a pair of 3's. Because there's a 3 out front, this pair of 5's gets multiplied to it to make 15 square root of 3. This one has a pair of 3's, so we're just going to bring it out. There's nothing out here, so we just bring it out with the square root of 5 left over. Now we're going to multiply what's on the outside together and what's on the inside together, and there's our solution. Okay? Now what about if we had a problem that actually ended up giving us variables? So for example, if we have a problem like this, now this is jumping from one extreme to another. If we have 2v squared x cubed times 8v x to the 5th. So this is going to dive back into our chapter 7 days. We're first going to multiply because they're all inside numbers. We're going to multiply them together. So 2 times 8 is 16. V to the squared times v is v cubed. X cubed times x to the 5th is x to the 8th. And now we're going to factor them just like we did yesterday. 8 and 2, 4 and 2, 2 and 2. So on the outside we're going to have 2 times 2, which is 4. How many times does 2 go into 3? 1 time with 1 left over. And then 2 goes into 8 4 times. And there's your solution. All right. So I'm gonna create one on my own here. I'm gonna get one of my kids real quick to come up and help me. Hold on. Navy, come here, hustle, run. I need your help real quick to pick some numbers for my class, okay? So you tell me some numbers. Go. Any numbers. Tell me. Numbers.
Okay. 1.
Okay, so we have a 1.
2.
A 2.
5.
X to the 5th.
5.
A 5 again.
Yeah.
Z to the...
C to,
a number.
3.
Okay, times the square root of... What's your favorite number?
2.
X to the...
3.
Y...
1.
and Z.
C and 3.
Okay. Alright, so here we go. This is Navy's creation. So 12 times 2 is 24. X to the 5th times x cubed is x to the 8th. Y to the 5th times y is y to the 6th. Remember, we're adding exponents. Z to the cubed times z cubed is z to the 6th. Alright, Navy, tell them to factor.
Factor.
So we're going to have 12 and 2, 6 and 2, 3 and 2. So we're going to have just one pair of 2's with a 3 and a 2 left over. Remember, we multiply those. So underneath the root, we're going to have a 6.
And a 7.
Nope. How many times does 2 go into 8?
4.
4 times. How many times does 2 go into 6?
3.
And how many times does 2 go into 6?
3.
And because all of these are even, we have no variables left over underneath. So that's how you're going to do today's lesson. Good luck.